Good morning, sports fans. This is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. And this morning, boys and girls, we are going to be tying a bug called a Strymph. This is one that Harry Murray from Murray's Fly Shop up in Virginia came up with. He wrote this super book about smallmouth bass fishing several years ago, and it's still a gold standard. And this bug is in that book. Excuse me. So we're going to start off with I like my Strymph a little long. It's called a Strymph because you can use it as either a streamer or a nymph. So you tie them in black, white, olive, brown. I mean, it's a platform fly, so you can tie it in about any color you want. I start off with, like I said, I like mine a little long, so I'm going to use a Mustad 79-580 hook. It's a 5X long shank, but you see it's got the down eye. So I'm just going to take my pliers and flatten that out so it's straight. And I'm going to bend my barb down. So get that mounted in the vise. We're going to put some lead in the body. So I'm using .025 lead. And I start my lead right about the point of the hook, and I wrap it forward. See, I have it on a bobbin holder. And I wrap it forward to about 1/4 of an inch or so behind the eye. I got this old pair of scissors that I use on wire, like lead and uni wire and whatnot. So I just trim that off. Then I'm going to use some Danville Fly Master in a 210 denier to cover it up. So I'll get that tied in, and that gives me a little block so it doesn't slide on me. Then I do one in the back, and then I just kind of mummify the lead. That's why I use the 210 denier. You can also use 210 denier is about the same thickness as a 3/0 in uni thread. So I mean, you can use either one, whatever you want to do. Alright, and once I have that done, I just take a couple whip finishes, trim it off, and then I paint it with head cement, clear lacquer, Lee hard as nails, whatever you use. Then I set that off to the side to dry. So I have done that already with this one. Excuse me. So the pattern calls for ostrich in black. So we've got some ostrich here, and you want to get 16 to 20 Herls gathered together along the stem. These are pretty long. If you're using a shorter shank hook, you'd probably be able to get a couple flies out of this, but this is a little longer, so you're not going to get a couple flies out of this. Crap. I forgot to tie my tie-in thread in. So my tie-in thread is 140 denier Danville Flymaster. I want to attach my Ostrich Plume in right behind, or right about in the middle of the shank, so that way I get it good and secure. And then I'm going to bring my Ostrich Herls forward, and I want to trim them off so they'll be just about even, about a shank length. Alright, and then I like to put a little bit of root beer flash in there. So I pull 3 strands of root beer flash out of the pack, and then I trim them in half. And this is what they look like when they're trimmed in half. So just pinch the middle and take a couple secure wraps, then bring the near side to you. And once you get the flash in, you're going to take a couple of wraps like I do on my woolly boogers. This is what keeps the tail from fouling around the bend. Okay, now comes the fun part. You're going to do a dubbing loop. You're going to make a brush with hair cut off a magnum rabbit zonker. So pinch a clump, trim it off, and then I set mine off to the side because I like to get a couple prepared. And this is how I'm trimming it. I'm just grabbing a clump, pulling it away from the hide, and then slipping my scissors in there, hold the hide down, trim it off. Alright, now that I got my zonkers prepared, I'm going to put some dubbing wax on the thread. This is Loon high-tack dubbing wax, thread wax. Now you're just going to kind of stroke across the thread. You don't want to get so much that you're clumpy, but you need to make sure you got enough. Before you wrap start your dubbing loop, you want to make sure that you got the glue starting right at the hook. So to make a dubbing loop, you just take your index finger and put it on the thread, then bring your thread up, take a couple turns back over top itself, and then take your thread behind, and that secures your dubbing loop in place. and you just run that forward and drop your bobbin down. I had been putting this on out across my cradle, but this seems to work a little better. So you want to pull your dubbing loop apart with 2 fingers and put your hair in there. And then use your dubbing twister. Pull the loop tight, and then you can spread this hair out. Then give it a twist and give yourself a nice brush. Kind of stroke the fibers around, get yourself a nice brush, and you want to stroke the fibers back. Wrap around, and what I do is I like to wrap over and then bring my hook back around. You keep stroking those fibers back. It's okay if you pull some of them out. That's going to happen. Just keep stroking the fibers back. And you're going to have to do this a couple times. On this length of hook, I usually have to do it about 3 times. Other options to have a shorter shank would be a Mustad 9672. Take a couple wraps behind the thread from the dubbing loop and take a couple forward of it. Get it nice and tied down. Trim that off. Then take a half hitch to make sure that that's good and secured. Then you're going to take your wire brush and brush that out. Okay, so if you don't have one of these kind of brushes, this one's from Loon. You can use a boar brush from a 762 or a 223. They work good too. 7mm. Okay, so next, same thing again. Just kind of straighten your fibers up. Make you a nice dubbing brush. Well, that one turned out really good. And then keep on wrapping. Come forward, stroke the fibers back as you're advancing. There we go. Trim that off. Stroke that back. Get your half hitch on there for security. And then take your board brush to it. Get those fibers raked out. And then I'm going to run out of trimmed hair, so I need to trim another clump here. That tight. Get my hair fibers where I want them. Come the rest of the way forward. You want to save yourself a little room for your collar hackle. Same procedure. Get yourself a half hitch on there. Brush those fibers out so that they're standing perpendicular to the shank. because you're going to trim them to shape. Okay, so the shape of the body is kind of fat in the front and narrow at the back, so kind of set yourself your angle. Make sure you don't trim your ostrich herl. There we go. Now you're going to go to your brown Grizzly hen saddle, and for this big of a fly, you're going to want stuff off of the top so that you got a nice wide collar hackle. Now ordinarily I would strip the one side, but I want this collar hackle to be full, so I'm not going to do that. And ordinarily I would strip the fluff off, but I'm not doing that on this fly either. Trim that tag end off. Get my hackle pliers. And just wrap that hackle just like you would any other wet fly, stroking the fibers back. We can get one more here. There we go. Come up behind it. Take 3, snip. Stroke those back, build yourself a head, and then I use a 5 and 3 whip finish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3. And then put a little dollop of head cement on there. Make sure it runs all the way around. And there you have it. Harry Murray's Strymph. I hope you enjoyed tying this as much as I enjoyed showing you how. got a few strays here. Please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Excuse me. The YouTube channel is called Custom Tied Bugs, B-U-G-Z. Excuse me. You can find this and other YouTube this and other tutorials on the Custom Tied website at www.custom-tied.com. That's custom-tied.com. Have a splash. Don't forget the dash. And you can find the Custom Tied Virtual Fly Shop on Facebook by searching Custom Tyer 02. That's CUSTOMTYER 02. So, happy tying.